Hey everyone, the Portrait here. Hopefully this video complements my last video a bit. The topic of my last video is why do most fine artists still cannot make a decent living? Link of that video is in the description. And of course, the pricing of the art, the perceived value of art is a huge part of it. Again, this is a huge topic, so in this video I can only cover like a small additional part of it. So I mentioned one of the major points is that most fine artists are not trained to value their work and end up competitively pricing their labor against each other in such an uncontrolled way that since art has almost no overhead cost and a lot of people just don't value or don't see time and experience as the most valuable commodity they have, they end up undervalue and underprice their work to the point where unless the artist is famous or backed by something big, generally the entire culture sees a good cheap art as the norm, and it hurts everyone in the industry. An example I used is that it is very often that a contractor painting a room would make more money than a very good street artist with decades of experience that can produce you like a piece of work that lasts practically forever. And I absolutely love the comment section. Almost all are very supportive and a lot of you share your own experience and at times add new perspectives and information, which is amazing. Constructive criticism is always absolutely welcomed, but there was almost no useless negative comments. Kind of made me question like, am I still on YouTube? Anyway, so that video, what I think is mostly true, is a little bit of a downer. It paints a bleak picture of the situation. So this video I want to focus on the other side and point out some of the things that are positive. So I'm going to just put a viewpoint out, and I'm not going to focus on the exact details of how to do this and that because those information you can easily find online. I'm trying to convey large concepts and ideas. Alright, so one major point is that internet brings competition, but also opportunity like no other. Like I mentioned in one of the comments, despite everything, there has never been a better time to have a better chance or a greater chance of making money out of whatever your interest is, no matter how niched they are. You'll find plenty of like-minded people, or you can introduce your niche to them and present it in an interesting way and make lots of money. I mean, there are people on YouTube with millions of subscribers, and it's about their personal ant farm. And when it comes to art, there has never been an easier time to get all your work out there. There is almost no barrier to entry. So there is nothing stopping you from building your own brand except your own skill and creativity and effort. You do have to be more marketing savvy, which I will touch upon a little bit later. You see, back in the day, before internet has matured to today's level, the only way to really get your name and work out there is mostly through a gallery, who typically charges a 50% sales commission, which is still the number today. But back then, they also do a lot of things for you. They will take care of marketing, transportation, and insurance of the art. They will use their own money to make little pamphlets and ads and so on to bring in patrons and customers to a show. And then they would talk you up, basically take care of everything, and the only thing you need to worry about is making art and get that check. That's why getting to a good gallery is often seen as you kinda made it back in the day. What are galleries like today? Well, for the high-end and high-profile artists, of course they get treated very well and everything is still good. But what about your average artist and gallery? A lot of them are still good, so I'm speaking generally. They still take 50% of commission, but they rarely do anything else for you, besides the space on the wall. They will put on a show here and there, but marketing and storage and transportation, all those you have to front the cost or a good percentage of it. In fact, it is not uncommon for galleries to find out what kind of social media presence you have. Will you be able to advertise for their show? And they're more likely to take the artists not totally based on merit, but based on maybe how many Instagram followers they have. Because that artist is now a marketing asset. And since the wealthy people still mostly go to galleries to spend the big bucks, because galleries still have that air of legitimacy, quote-unquote real quality work that has passed the inspection of an expert, right? A lot of them are still doing great business-wise. If someone wants to spend 5 to 6 digits, they generally don't look for that online for sales. They generally go to a gallery to buy that piece of art. And let's not talk about vanity gallery too much. which you have to pay them expensive additional fee just to have your work be up on their wall. Basically, you buy a way to have your art displayed in the gallery, and anybody with enough money can do it. And if it doesn't sell, often they charge you additional storage or real estate fee on the wall. And the last part applies to a lot of other galleries too, not just vanity galleries. But this is changing fast. Oh my god, this sounds more negative than my last video, but no. But this is changing fast. More and more people are realizing they don't need to go through the middleman to sell their work at a good price or buy quality art. And the method you can make money from art has also increased dramatically. I'm not going to list them all right now, maybe I'll make a video on it later, but there are already a lot of videos that list all types of ways you can make money from doing art online. Those videos are generally great, but a lot of times they don't emphasize on the probability or minimum requirements for these methods to work practically. Like often you need to have a certain amount of followers and fans and so on. Otherwise, ain't no one gonna buy that t-shirt with your logo on it. So build a personal brand is such a valuable and important goal. So back to the marketing thing that I said I would touch upon. There is absolutely no reason why you wouldn't have a website, which costs very little. There is absolutely no reason why you wouldn't have an account on all the major social media platforms, which are all free. Basically, you should be putting your best work out there and not wait for some magical date when you think your work is ready to be seen. Not only it is subjective, the day will also generally never come. It sounds very basic, but you'd be surprised how many people come to me for tips and I'm like, alright, show me your website, show me your portfolio. And they're like, I don't have anything online. That's not a good thing. For all we know, you could have some unique style that would have gone viral. Of course, you're going to get a lot of feedback and comments. From what I can tell, there are 4 major types, 3 of which are very useful, and the last one not so much. First of all, if you cannot handle criticism, and especially recognize their value, just get out of art right now. In fact, you're probably not going to have a good time in life in general. There is no softer way to put it. Another quick note is to take consideration of where the feedback is coming from. The feedback from your mom should not be seen in the same light as one from a random stranger online or a professional artist online. Alright, so back to the 4 major type of comments and feedbacks. Okay, so the first one is very rare, is what I call the sensible critique. Is when people not only criticize and point out the mistakes in your drawings, but they don't push their point of view on you. And they generally do it in a way that is very logical and easy for you to accept. They're generally also very sincere. You don't even feel like it's a critique. It's more like a suggestion. It feels like more like a suggestion, should I say. An example one might sound something like, oh, I really love this piece, and especially the way you use contrast or the color here and there. But if you put the character more to the right, he would get more attention because of such and such reason relating to composition. You read that and generally you feel good about it, and then you say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna give it a try. The second one, which is a lot more common, and it's what I call the rude feedback, criticism. Generally, these are still useful. Why? Because despite the way they come across, they contain some nuggets of truth. Okay, they have some gold nuggets in there that you should take. So the best way to handle those is that you read the comments and then you simply pick up the part that you think, oh, that point is valid and true, and you ignore all the negative side of it. So don't dismiss the entire comment just because it started out like really negative. To use a cliche, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So an example might be something like, dude, you suck, this drawing looks freaking weird, that year looks way off, don't quit your day job. Now instead of reading that and give the whole thing equal weight and feel bad about it, just think, is this year in the right position anatomically? Like, is it the right size? Is the lighting correct? Try to figure out if there's some merit in the comment. Take that, improve your art so you don't make the same mistake in the future, or be more careful in the future, and discard the rest. Okay, the third broad category of comments you would get is also very common, and they are very important, even though they don't contain any specific information. They're just generally encouraging comments, or comments that ask you questions. We are all familiar with this, like, oh my god, I love your drawing, or how long did this take, what paper do you use, keep up the good work, so on. Even though they are just simple words that doesn't contain a lot of information, but they can be so encouraging and motivating and give you confidence as a creator, because we're putting our work out there. It's a very vulnerable position to put your work out there for thousands or millions to see, and they can just comment behind the keyboard. So feel free to feel good about your progress from those comments and use them as fuel if needed, but still keep your feet firmly on the ground and stay humble. Especially those positive comments can be pretty exaggerated, and generally they are, like, wow, that's the best drawing I've ever seen. Obviously not, it's mostly likely not to be the best drawing in the world, right? So just keep that in mind, because the number of off-the-chart amazing art and artists out there is so large, and this is a field with no skill ceiling. You should always keep your feet on the ground. But again, those type of comments helps a creator so much. And the last category, just negative comments that has no merit. The troll comments or the haters or whatever you want to call them. It's absolutely useless. And so just to discard them. Just pretend that they're not even there. Don't even respond to them, because anything you give attention to, you give power to. Just pretend they're not there. Okay, so we're done with the whole comment part. Okay, another potentially very viable solution for a fine artist to make a living is actually inspired by one of the comments in my last video. Based on the recent labor statistics, the number of art-related jobs, which includes both commercial and fine art, is huge. I'm talking larger than the number of plumbers in the country, combined huge. But number-wise, commercial art still beats fine art, career or job number-wise, by something like 20x. In case you know the difference, and there is some overlap, a very simple way to think about it is this. Fine art is art that the art itself is the end product, and people buy it and enjoy it for its innate value. Most times aesthetic, sometimes for status. Commercial art is art or graphics that you do that contribute to a part of a final product that would usually be mass distributed by a company. So if I do a painting that is a fine art project, if I use Adobe InDesign and Illustrator to design a magazine cover that is commercial art, more specifically a type of graphic design, and typically it's digital, it requires a computer. So the good news, if you are good but having trouble, especially at the beginning, to make ends meet with fine art, you can get a commercial art job, and they can pay pretty well. And develop your creative fine art on the side. How much time you can devote for that obviously depends, but you gotta first make sure you can eat, right? And generally, to have enough work out there and build up a following and a brand takes time. So those of you who are currently in school for art should already be doing this. A note about a lot of the commercial art job though. There are more and more like contract jobs, in that once a particular project is done, they may not need you anymore and you need to find the next job. So some commercial art jobs are still like freelancing. But because demand is so high and frequent, like graphic design, if you have some good experience and portfolio and reference, you almost always can find work, like permanent or by project. Another good news is a lot of types of commercial art, especially like graphic design, is much easier if you are well trained in fine art. The learning curve is just way easier. It's like with graphic design, you need some more skills in layout, composition, typography, color coordination. Yeah, it takes learning, but nothing like learning to paint a portrait or something. Of course, to be the top expert level in any field takes a lot of skill and talent, but to get to a decent level of commercial art skill, it's relatively very doable, especially if you are a creative, smart individual with the eye for certain things, which all good fine artists have those skill sets. And one more good news, which I touched upon in my last video, as our society gets more computerized and machines are producing more and more of the goods we consume, which is already at 99%, right? Our appreciation and appetite for something that is organic and have a human touch will become stronger and stronger. So this is more like a prediction, but it's more likely that people are going to value things, especially art, that is created by a human hand, as we are more and more surrounded by machine-created goods. Alright, I can take any point I mentioned in this video and zoom in on it. And I also want to make more commentary videos like this, as well as tutorials, and not just on drawing, but also on some simple software tools that you need for digital art products. Because honestly, it's really easy. If you already know how to paint, then it literally takes no time to be able to do digital art. Like this piece is after I just got a tablet and trying out digital painting. And I realized it's very much like oil painting, that you can just work in layers. Now conceptual design that involves scenery and people or creatures with minimum reference is a lot more difficult, but totally doable, and it's something that I've been studying lately just because I really enjoy the idea of it, and I like to make videos on those so that we can learn together. And there goes another video idea I can make: how to consciously learn something so that you can learn something super fast and super efficient. Like, I don't want to say this as like a bragging way, but ask any of my friends. I'm known as the guy that pick up things and get to a decent skill level pretty fast. Not because I'm smarter than anyone, but because I noticed that when I learn, I use my brain in very different ways. Like, for example, I believe my very second pastel color drawing, which is Halle Berry, which is like 12 years ago. After that drawing, I stopped using color for a very long time. And my next few color drawings is what you see on screen now, which you can find the full video in my channel. And between those, I have not practiced with color physically with my hand on paper once, but I reflected on it and I realized what I actually did in between. I'll save the details for another video, which basically involves very vivid analysis and thought stimulation. So in a sense, I have been practicing constantly, just not in the traditional way, which a lot of artists can do, and it's not hard. Man, you see how many stuff that I can share with you guys that could potentially benefit thousands of people, but because YouTube is the way it is right now, I have to spend I do well with commissions, but then I have to spend most of my time doing commissions. And I know instead of helping that one person, I could have helped 1,000. So I know I'm not using my time to provide the best value to society. So that kind of, it's a little bit downer for me. But I love you guys regardless, and I always try to squeeze time to make content for you. Thanks for subscribing and liking this video. Leave a comment, and this all helps YouTube to rank my videos higher, which would help me make more content for you. They're really just looking for engagement and watch time and viewer number and so on. And again, consider supporting my channel directly via Patreon or become a member. You'll get a lot more exclusive content. I can make more stuff for everyone, and if you have a good topic that you think I should be talking about, feel free to leave that in the comments. I really appreciate you guys watching this video, and till next time, cheers!